one of my previous videos, I left you guys with an absolute mess from my resin countertop I was trying to build, and I didn't know how I was going to get it off of there. So in a totally accurate recreation of how I was able to get that countertop separated from my workbench, this is what I did. Only I was wearing shorts and nothing else. I'm not doing that to you guys. Are you kidding? Now hold on. Before you guys judge me, act like you've never been doing a project before and just ran out to the garage for 5 minutes before you're going to bed for the night and just worked on something just a little bit to get that last step in. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, are you even a DIYer? I can't tell you how many times I've just ran out there, applied a coat of polyurethane, and then gone to bed, just knowing I could leave it for that night to dry. So anyways, what did I do? I used that Dremel tool. I literally cut the resin free in several spots, pretty much all the way around it. Yeah, my dramatic acting skills here are awesome, aren't they? I obviously, once I felt like it was starting to loosen up, I got that pry bar out, got my hammer, got underneath there. As gently as possible, I pried and was able to get it worked up. I think, all in all, it was around 45 minutes or so. Not exactly sure how long it took me, but it was a couple days worth of effort. I have released it from the countertop. Okay, so that didn't exactly go as planned, but nonetheless, we can carry on. All right, first things first, I need to re-drill the holes for the faucet. It's just got some painter's tape in there, but it's full of resin, so I'm just going to try to use the drill like I did when it was the solid board. We'll see what happens. I think I'll be able to get through it, I imagine. In fact, I imagine it'll be easy, just kind of weird and awkward. I don't really know. That wasn't too bad at all. Now we got that resolved. Alright, here's what I know. This resin, this epoxy countertop, needs some sanding. And I also know that when the experts do like the river epoxy tables, they do the really clear stuff, the colored clear stuff, and it's a majority epoxy table. They go work their way up with sandpaper grit and take a long time and just really sand it and then treat it with oil and stuff. This, we're using the epoxy to get that clear glass-like look over top of our stain. I'm not an expert. I'm still working my way through this and figuring it out. And I only have 4 different grits of sandpaper. So I'm going to start with, I'm not going to start with my 40 because that's a very aggressive remove what you have sandpaper, and I don't want to completely remove all this that I worked so hard on and worked so hard to get back, you know, after having to get it off of that countertop. So instead, I'm starting with my 80 grit. I'm going to do it lightly. I don't want to get rid of all this epoxy. I'm going to go over it, clean it up, dust it off, whatnot, and then I'll work my way up. Now, the experts, they say don't skip grits, work your way up, you know, I don't know, start with 80 or something, 80, 100, 120, and so on and so forth. Well, my next one's going to be 180 and then 220. That's what I'm going to do. Hopefully, for this project I'm doing, it's not going to be that big of a deal. We'll see what happens, guys. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. That's why I'm a DIYer and I'm not a pro. So, I'm going to get on a mask and I'm going to go ahead and get this thing sanded up. Once I started sanding on this, and all that dust got on the surface and it started to turn white like that, I got real nervous. You actually saw my phone out because I immediately started Googling and looking up stuff to see if it was going to work out or if I had ruined it. So it did turn out that it was all right, and I decided to get a wet cloth and clean it off. It's nice and smooth. We used the wet paper towels. We got rid of the dust. We wiped it down again with dry paper towels. You saw me get out the tack cloth, so there's really not any dust on this surface, but it is got a haze now as it's been sanded. So I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous about how this is going to turn out, but all there's left to do for tonight is use my polyurethane and put a coat on there. So I guess let's go with it and let's see what ends up happening. I do need to remember to get my trim because that did not get epoxy. I want to do my best to keep this from having any runs or bubbles or drips. This polyurethane is wet, obviously, as I put it on. But I'll say that I'm hopeful because I'm very nervous about this right now. But as I put it on here, it instantly gives a sheen back to this. I like the look of it. I like the feel of this countertop right now, the way that resin feels. And I like the way it's looking as I put this on. And I'm hoping it dries like that. Just going to run it along these inside spots where we're going to have our sink and our stove. Just to give ourselves a little bit of coating, you know. Since I am using a chip brush for my polyurethane right now, I'm trying to apply it with the wood grain, just in case we end up with a little bit of brush strokes going on in there. You know, I don't want it going this way. Like, I don't know, guys. I'm doing what I think's best right now. We also did get rid of a lot of the excess resin that, like, as this dried, you know, and we had that painter's tape on here and our dam, and it kind of swooped up and stuff. The bottom might not be a completely smooth surface now, but when I just did the sanding for the top, it's a pretty smooth surface at this point. You guys probably hear the uncertainty in my voice, but after applying the polyurethane, a little bit of my fears are subdued, and I'm really hoping that this polyurethane dries and we keep this sheen, this shine, this look. Like I said, I really like the surface. I don't think it was just some big old glob of resin on top of it. It smoothed it out well. Those couple spots that have the resin dust in there and the holes, they're very small. This one you won't even see because the sink will cover that. I think we have one there. So that's very minuscule. And you guys have seen this process before. This is my 4th coat. It's my 3rd time sanding. You know, just give it a light sanding with the sanding block. And then I'll use the tack cloth, the tack cloth. Get rid of some of the dust. And then apply that last coat. That'll be my last one, and she'll be ready to go. I'm very, very, very happy with how this feels. This is a weird description, but you ever been to, like, you know what I'm thinking of with this right now, honestly? Like, just the way it feels, the texture, the surface. It doesn't even feel like wood anymore, but it doesn't feel like straight resin or plastic or anything like that. It feels like, I don't know why this is the description I've got. If you're in a queue line at, like, Disney World, like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and you see something that's wooden, and everybody's, you know, goes by it all day long, but it is, like, really, really coated. And I mean, it feels, you know, when I go by it, I'm like, man, that feels durable, that feels indestructible. It's smooth. It's like been coated so much that you can tell it's wood, but you don't even know what's been coated on it. That's what this feels like to me. It feels extremely protected. So, I don't know why that's what the description that I feel is. I don't know why that's what it reminds me of, but it does. Like, I think it looks good. It feels durable. It feels like I could just pour water all over it. Have no worries at all. So anyways, that's going to be our last time sanding this one down. This is the last coat, and then I'm ready to put it on. So it'll probably be ready in a few hours because this polyurethane dries fairly quick. I cannot wait to see what it looks like in the camper because I'm happy with it. And I absolutely know it looks better than what that press board pergola almost type material that it was before. Now, did I make a $5,000 flowing river stained color epoxy tabletop for somebody? Absolutely not. That's not what this is. But for me, I'm very happy. Can't wait to see this thing installed. All right, guys, I am super excited. Today's the day. I have not even placed this up here yet, but we're planning on putting our countertop, putting our whole kitchen area back together today. We're going to do it right now. So we're going to get started. Simple as it goes. I'm going to lay some liquid nails all on top of the surface area, and I'm going to put some screws in from underneath. So let's go ahead and get after it. Of course, we did reinforce this. There was like a 1x here before. Now we got a 2x4. A little more stability, sturdiness right there in the middle. Reinforced over here. Found a piece that was a little chunkier than what we had before. So, and I added a piece over here if I remember correctly. And I put a little bracket in over here in the corner, just a corner bracket. So we've actually chunked this up a little bit. I don't believe it'll inhibit or get in the way of anything. I think when I did that, I made sure it did not, like the stove that slides in and all that stuff. I think if I remember correctly, I made sure it won't mess any of that up. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is where we're sitting at for the moment. That fit in there very good. I know I used directly the old one as a template, so I should have been able to cut it right. But I feel like you never know what's going to end up happening. I was pleased everything sat down perfectly. As a reminder, the original countertop had several staples along the backside. There was no liquid nails. So we have put liquid nails down to glue the whole surface down. I've got a couple screws on the back end, and then several screws like in the front where they already were over on that side. 1 or 2 extras there, 1 or 2 extras in the middle. I feel like this countertop's in good shape. We have our stove back in. We're not done. Ooh, that's noisy. We're not done, obviously, but I need to clean up that stovetop. I need to clean up the sink before we put it in. So I'll be right back with you guys, but yeah. All right, and you see, I've placed the sink in here. It fits very nicely. However, we are going to try and just keep a nice little seal around the edge. I could use caulk, but I'm going to use this is some really old plumber's putty I have. Probably should just throw it out, but I'm a cheapskate. Just going to kind of put it around the edges. I'm using this putty for 2 reasons. One, they didn't have straight up the putty. Like you could tell it was one of the tape strips of plumber's putty. They just used one of the tape strips and had it around the edge here. In fact, I have a much newer, much easier to use, it's not so tacky and clay-like and hard container of plumber's putty. That's my second reason, is this is old. And I'm kind of OCD about using up stuff. So it's kind of an opportunity for me to just use this. So that's why I'm doing it. From there, if you were with us when we took this out, there are 6 of these studs. We have a little clamp that'll slide over, and then wing nuts tighten it down. So I'm going to put the sink in now. So it's kind of funny to me because it's like I forgot how to use plumber's putty because I don't use it often enough. So I was trying to use it and I was pressing it on, and with just a few seconds into the time lapse, I remembered if I roll it in my hands and knead it, it'll make like a snake and just be so much easier to work with. So I got that sink in, I got it clamped down, and then I got the caulk out and caulked the back of the countertop there. And I put the faucet in. That faucet is a bar faucet, Works out great. I really like it. And then it was time to put the doors and the drawers back in that, of course, I've painted over the last couple weeks. So I got the hardware out. Hey, there's my beautiful wife. So I got the hardware out, put everything back together, put new knobs on, and pretty much finished up. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. Minor setback today with the two of those drawers to the cabinets. One, the face came off just like the others. Super easy fix. I'm just going to put some glue, clamp it back together, and put some staples in it. No problem. The other is the one that I had pretty much rebuilt and had to cut new sides on. I could have sworn it was the same width, but it obviously wasn't. So I'm going to have to do something a little different. Plane it down, find a thinner piece of wood, something. I'll fix it. It's not a huge ordeal. I'll get that taken care of. But we're going to go ahead and close this video out because it wasn't necessarily about the drawers. I would love to have shown you a completed finished product in this room for you, but it's really about this countertop. This countertop I couldn't be much happier with. It looks great. It's sealed up nice. I love our new faucet. That's a bar sink faucet, you know. Bigger, better looking than the other one. Swivels to either side. This just, can't even tell you. Like, this feels very durable. This feels good. It feels sturdy. It's not very heavy. It's lighter than it looks. Looks so much better than, and I mean, it's covered in paint now, but just to kind of perspective, like, that's the material that the countertop was before, if you forgot already, of what that table is. We're going to be doing something similar to put a new table in, but man, doesn't this look better. So today was a hot, humid, sticky day. Tough one. Little small setback, but you know what? We're making some serious progress. Doesn't this look better than it did before? Come on back and see what I do next. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys.